I'm Ethan. I make a living tearing down cheap hotels in my blog with brutal reviews. That night, my car broke down in the rain just outside Oakhaven. The only light was from the Black Rose Inn, a decaying wooden motel squeezed between a dusty pawn shop and an antique store selling funeral attire. The air inside was thick with mothballs and cheap lemon bleach, the kind of smell used in morgues to mask the scent of death. The clerk had skin the color of swamp fog. He handed me a rusted brass key, tagged with the number 13. Without blinking, his dead eyes fixed on my throat as he smiled. "May your sleep be everlasting." I climbed the rotting wooden stairs, each step groaning under my weight like snapping dry bones. Above me, the flickering fluorescent lights pulsed in time with my heartbeat. Every time the lights blinked out, the hallway seemed to stretch miles longer into the dark. Then I noticed it. My footsteps weren't alone. Every time my heel hit the floor, another thud followed, exactly one beat late. I stopped dead. The echo stopped too. But in the dim light, I could swear my shadow on the wall moved a split second longer before freezing. Someone was walking in the darkness behind me, stepping perfectly into my shadow, learning how to mimic the movements of the living. Room 13 waited at the end of the hall, its gray wooden door standing like a vertical tombstone. Room 13 was a suffocating trap. The wallpaper was patterned with withered roses, but in the dim light, they looked like rotting mouths hanging open in a silent scream. I threw my bag on a chair and collapsed onto the bed, exhausted. But instead of the squeak of metal springs, the mattress let out a dry, raspy gasp, exactly like the final breath of a dying man right beneath my back. I bolted upright, my heart hammering against my ribs. I ripped back the sheets, but there was nothing, only deep, yellowed stains that looked like dried bile. It felt as if this room wasn't built of wood and brick, but of dead skin and decaying flesh. I looked toward the oak wardrobe in the corner. Its door was slightly ajar, revealing a sliver of pitch-black darkness inside, watching me. At exactly 3:13 a.m., I was jerked awake by a sound, not the rain, but the sound of fingernails clawing against oak, scritch, scratch, coming from inside the wardrobe. In a feverish half-dream, I saw a man dressed in an ash-gray burial shroud, standing motionless at the foot of my bed. He had no eyes, only two deep dark pits staring at me, clutching a tattered ledger stained with dried blood. He slowly pointed a skeletal finger toward the wardrobe. I bolted up, drenched in cold sweat. Trembling, I aimed my flashlight inside the closet door. Carved into the polished oak were deep, jagged scratch marks, 5 vertical lines, 1 diagonal slash. The grim tally of someone imprisoned in despair. Something had been in this closet for a very long time, and it had just found its way out. Pathetic, I growled, slamming the rusted key onto the front desk the next morning. I didn't bother looking back at the clerk's hollow stare as I ran to my car. Once back in my luxury apartment downtown, fueled by spite, I opened my laptop and typed the most brutal 1-star review of my career. The Black Rose Inn is a morgue in disguise. The staff look like bloated corpses, the mattress reeks, and the wardrobe is ruined by rats or some creep clawing at the wood. Do not waste your life in this hellhole. I hit post with a smug grin. But just 10 minutes later, a notification pinged. A reply from the inn appeared on my screen, turning my blood to ice. "Thank you for your feedback, Ethan. We have addressed the scratching issue you mentioned. Since you were unhappy with our wardrobe, we have moved into the one in your bedroom. We already know the scent of your skin by heart. I sat frozen in front of my laptop. I tried to tell myself it was just a sick prank by the clerk to get back at me for the review. But the room suddenly turned freezing. Not the chill of an AC, but a cold that seemed to bleed from the very walls. I stood up, reaching for a drink to steady my nerves. As my foot hit the hardwood floor, a thud followed, exactly 1 beat late. My heart constricted. I took 2 more steps, and the echo followed, precise and cold. Then, from behind me, inside the sleek modern wardrobe in the corner of my bedroom, came a soft gasp. It wasn't the sound of a mattress anymore. It was the sound of something inhaling, savoring the scent of my terror. My phone vibrated violently on the table. A new email from the Black Rose Inn arrived with an attachment. My fingers trembled as I tapped it. My heart nearly stopped when the image loaded. It was a side profile of me right now, sitting paralyzed on my living room sofa. The photo was taken from a low angle, through a narrow gap. At the bottom of the frame, a pale skeletal hand with unnaturally long knuckles was reaching out from the wardrobe directly behind me. Those gray fingers were only inches from my hair, caressing the air as if fondling a favorite toy. The caption underneath made me choke. "Your wardrobe is much warmer than ours, Ethan. We are right behind you." I didn't dare turn around. I could feel a draft of freezing, putrid air, smelling like decaying meat, right against the back of my neck. That gasp sounded again, this time so close, I felt the chill press against my ear. The wardrobe door behind me began to slide open, the metal track shrieking like a mocking laugh. "What do you want?" I whispered, tears of pure terror blurring my vision. The only answer was the sound of fingernails clawing against my expensive polished oak. Scritch, scratch. The telemarks were appearing right now, on my own furniture. The thing inside was starting to count down its new owner's time. I grabbed a small knife from the coffee table and spun around, but the darkness inside the closet was unnaturally deep, as if it led straight back to room 13 of that godforsaken inn. Out of the bottomless dark of the wardrobe, a shape began to crawl. It wasn't a man, but a spindly gray thing, its skin wrinkled like an old burial shroud. Its face was a smooth, featureless slab, void of eyes or a nose, with only a gaping mouth trembling as it let out those broken gasps. I collapsed, the knife slipping from my nerveless fingers. To my horror, I realized my legs were losing sensation. They were turning gray and withered, exactly like the creature's. It crawled closer, using its unnaturally long fingers to caress my face. Everywhere it touched, my flesh felt like it was melting and reshaping. It was learning to smile with my mouth, to blink with my eyes. "Don't fight it." A voice echoed inside my head, my own voice, but distorted and cold. "I already know your scent. Now it's my turn to live your life." The next morning, Ethan woke up on the luxury sofa. He stretched, straightened his gray hoodie, and looked in the mirror. He smiled, a perfect smile, but his eyes stayed fixed, unblinking. He opened the laptop, deleted the 1-star review, and replaced it with a single line. "Exquisite experience. I truly found myself here." At that same moment, back at the remote Black Rose Inn, the gray-skinned clerk stepped into room 13. He opened the old oak wardrobe and tossed in a new photo, Ethan's ID card. Deep inside the pitch-black void of the closet, a spindly, withered shape huddled, trembling. This new entity couldn't speak, couldn't cry. It could only use its newly deformed fingernails to claw at the wood. Scritch, scratch. beginning its tally of an endless imprisonment. A soft gasp echoed through the room, welcoming the next guest about to pull in from the misty highway.